Ta-da! Hello!
Evening.
Evening all. How are you, Heather? Are you all right? Looking
I'm
marvellous as
all,
always.
all in one piece, yes. Generally okay.
That's excellent. I'm nearly in one piece, but I've burnt my paw and it's a bit sore. So I'm clutching a big fat crystal that I've had in the freezer with hairs on it, apparently, which I've had in the freezer. And I've got it in a wet towel because I managed to pick up a handle of a pan that had been in the oven with my whole hand. That wasn't very clever, was it? No.
Hello, Jennifer.
We'll be better by the end
Hello,
of the show. Hello, Jen. How are you? All the way over the pond in the States. Hello. Hello, hello. Hope you're well this evening. Sorry about that. So, yes. So, we've got a couple of things that we wanted to discuss today because we've been out on the drum, haven't we?
We've been drumming. Well, on the weekend, Sunday it was. Lovely.
Sunday it was Sunday. And we've got Red Wing in. Hello. Hope you're well today. So, yes, drumming. And why were we drumming?
We were wassailing the apple trees.
Wassailing the apple. Do you know there's pear trees in that orchard too?
I was going to say, it's not just apples, is it? Because pears make bloody good cider too.
They do. That's a perry, isn't it? Oh, hello, Chris. Hello, 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 hello. Happy New Year. Belated Happy New Year. Yes, hope you're really well. And Dawn Cherry Paul. Hello. Oh, we've got the works in today.
Hello, Cherry.
So yes, wassailing we went, didn't we?
A sailing is something completely different.
It was good though, wasn't it? Really good, and everybody received us rather well, I think. I reckon that's
it was incredibly busy.
It was busy, wasn't it? How many people do you reckon were there? 1,000?
I don't know if it was that many, but it was certainly a good few more than I'm used to seeing. And we've done some. We did some before Christmas, didn't we? And they were much smaller.
Yeah.
Numbers,
yeah.
So, but this was big, and it was dark, and it was just the whole thing was well organised.
It was very atmospheric, actually, wasn't it? Yeah, it was very atmospheric. I enjoyed that actually. So for those people that aren't sure what Wassail is, hello Hans, how are you? Hope you're well.
Hi
Hans. Yeah, for those people that aren't sure what Wassail is, it's basically waking up fruit trees. Do you think you could make a decision there, Hattie? I think we'll take that as a no. Okay. Yeah, so basically it's making a great big fat noise. Hi Tony. It's making a great big fat noise to wake fruit trees up so that they bear fruit well, hale and hearty in the coming months. So that's what that's all about. So yes, so that's what we did. So our band of drummers, which is called the North Downs Drummers, you can find it on Facebook. Other drum bands are available.
They are.
But ours is the North Downs Drummers. We'll put a link to you up actually. That'd be fun. And then you can go and have a look and see what sort of thing we've been up to. And yeah, so we went trundling off to a community orchard, and I love the idea of a community orchard, don't you?
Oh, it's just so right, isn't it, really?
It is, yeah. So people in the community, they tend it and they put time in to look after it and mow the bits of grass between the trees or scoop up bits of mud between the trees, depending on the time of year. Or put down bits of stick and things to stop people falling over, depending on the time of year. And yeah, and there were lots and lots of people there also with tin lids and saucepans and things so that they could also make a big noise and wake everybody up. Wake all the trees up, rather.
I think
it was brilliant.
The kitchens of Limpsfield were relieved of their saucepans.
I think they probably were, yeah. And to make a big noise we did. Actually, it was good though because it was atmospheric. There was a big bonfire there. There was mulled cider. In previous years, of course, they've had apple cake, and they weren't able to do that this year because of, well, good old COVID.
Yeah, but it didn't stop us having an amazing time.
No, it didn't, because let's face it, having an amazing time is not cake dependent. Sometimes it's cake dependent. Often it's cake dependent.
If you're not bothered about cake, and I know you are, madam. Yes. However, the cider was pretty damn fine as well. And of course, what they would normally have done, as Hans is saying in the comments there, is actually got a big cup or a bowl and passed it round so everyone takes a sip. Obviously, in these unprecedented times, we're not doing that yet.
No, shame.
There wasn't one last year. you know, that the event wasn't on at all last year, was it? It was the year
No,
before.
I had to
It was
cancel
my
it.
very first drumming trip out, and I loved
Yeah.
it, but it was a lot quieter then.
It was, mind you, it was a very drizzly evening, like a couple of years ago. Whereas on Sunday, of course, it was beautiful, wasn't it? It was the very almost full moon, almost with just
very
a
nearly
sliver off the bottom.
It was a day off it, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and it was just beautiful. And it was crisp in the air, wasn't it? And squelchy underfoot and crisp in the air. And
it was a muddy experience. My drumming boots, or my great big funky gothy boots, are still in the van. I haven't actually touched them since. They need to dry off properly. Then you can,
and then you can crack them off.
Exactly. They're a lot heavier than when I put them on. Let's put it that way.
They're probably a bit taller than they were as well, because you've got a 2-inch layer of mud at the bottom.
Exactly. I'm tall enough, thank you.
Yes. Oh dear. But I love that. I love that whole thing of, you know, going tree to tree and giving libations to all of them. And of course, I suppose in some ways there were some raised eyebrows in a really strange way, and almost sort of like because obviously traditionally you would give them libations of apple juice or cider or perry for pear trees and stuff. And you sort of explain that to somebody and it's kind of like, oh, isn't that cannibalism?
That was my take on the evening. It's like, oh, isn't that a bit?
Yeah, it's a bit strange. But yeah, so I can kind of see the reason for the raised eyebrows and stuff. But I think I actually really like that. I like the whole thing, and of course, it's something that's been going on for donkey's years, isn't it? And it's that whole bringing traditions into current times, and I'm all for that. And the thing that I like most about that particular event is that the fact that they have the naked flame torches.
Yes.
What gives a lot of people heart attacks is that most of the children that are present are the ones bearing the naked flame torches.
Yeah, so just about sort of bustle height, really, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, oh God, there's a small person with a flame. Yeah, and it's quite to come around and stuff. But I think it's just wonderful. It really, I don't know. I think it's just amazing. I really do. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I went to a wassailing at Lucia's a few years ago. She's got a little tiny apple tree. It's actually in the garden, and she had one that was struggling somewhat in a pot. So we addressed both of the trees and sang them lots of songs and woke them up. And apparently that year she had a really, really good crop. I don't think she's done it since for lots of different reasons. But that was really good. That was quite a few years ago, a good 6, 7 maybe years ago now. And yeah, it was all jolly good, really. Now, we've got people that are telling us things. I don't know what they're telling us because I didn't have my specs on.
I think Hans has waded in with some nice little background on wassailing.
Ah, right. Let's have a look. Sing to the trees and spirits in the hope of ensuring a good harvest the following season. Yeah, there we go. During the visit to a communal wassail bowl filled with warm spice cider, perry or ale, and it would be shared. Yes, definitely. The word is from Anglo-Saxon. Interesting. I love etymology. Oh,
yeah.
Into that. And then we've got Chris saying, Wassail, wassail, we'll tell you wassail. Comes in bottles brown and pale. Comes in bottles, so bring some here and we'll have a happy new year. One of the things that oh, hang on. And then Chris goes on to say, let us now be thankful that the old year has departed. There's plenty of time for drinking before another one has started.
Yes, let's not waste valuable drinking time.
No, exactly. I quite like the ethic there. Excuse me a moment. Is there a gin tree as such? Juniper.
Oh, juniper.
Juniper.
Indeed.
Indeed. Don't have that many juniper berries, juniper trees around here, to be fair. Otherwise, I'd be there. I'm not sure that I'd want to be giving too many libations of gin, though.
Well, it's a bit wasteful, isn't it, really?
Exactly. So, yeah, one of the things that I was discussing today was the not the origins of the songs, and obviously what Chris has written down there is one of the traditional wassailing songs, but the origins of the music that goes behind them, because it's like, you know, well, which came first? Was it pagan tunes and then the church sort of sees them and then put their hymns to them, because obviously they sort of double up quite neatly, don't they? The hymns.
They're very familiar tunes, let's put it that way.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? So it's interesting to know which one came first. It's the whole chicken and egg thing, isn't it? So which came first? Yeah, it's interesting to ponder on that, really. And I suppose you never really get to the bottom of that, but yeah. But then there's lots of double ups actually in hymns too, isn't there? Quite often there's double ups and
recycling the same tune with different wordies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also what I've found over the years is that the songs that I was forced to sing as a kid at school, or hymns I should say, that I was forced to sing as a kid at school, seem to have different tunes these days. So if you go to a wedding or a funeral and you think, oh, I know this one. Oh, I don't know this one at all. You don't know the new tune. It changed it when I wasn't looking. Because I'm not that familiar in those type of places. But obviously, you know, if you're invited for an event, then I'll turn up. Always hope and keep my fingers crossed that I'm not going to sort of send any thunderbolts to the place. I mean, clearly, but
well, I think we've gotten away with it so far, haven't we?
Yeah, so far so good. Oh dear, what we got here? So Hans says, Anglo-Saxon tradition dictated that at the beginning of each year, the lord of the manor would greet the assembled multitude with the toast "Wassail," meaning be well, or be in good health.
Well.
Oh, thanks, Hans. That's brilliant. Thank you. To which his followers would reply, "Drink hail," or "Drink well," and so the New Year's celebrations. Yay! Love it. And then Chris goes on. I think this is probably verse 3. Now the year has passed away your sins, but there's lots of lovely new ones to try as the year begins.
And new sins. That doesn't sound terribly Christian. It's a bit of irreverence there.
Casting away your sins. Lots of lovely ones.
Let's try some new ones. Ooh, haven't tried that one.
Oh, well, I'm always open for a laugh.
So I hear.
Game for anything. And the torches, where the torches come in, is the children helping ward off evil spirits. Didn't know that, actually. That's brilliant. Thank you.
No, I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that. So yeah. Yeah, and as Chris says, pouring cider on the apple trees seems rather wrong. We'll drink it first and then we'll water the trees before too long. Whee! That's an entirely different sort of vibration. That goes into all sorts of different categories, that does.
That crosses a lot of boundaries.
It really does. Bring food from off your table and beer from out your barrel, for if you don't, we'll stop and sing you another ancient carol. Yeah, see, that's threatening, that is.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh dear. But it was good, wasn't it? And the atmosphere was amazing.
Everybody was having such a lovely time. I mean, it was bloody cold, but we were lucky because we were drumming. So
yeah, it doesn't keep you warm.
Some of us were hanging out rather close to the fire to keep our bits warm.
Exactly. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does keep you a bit warmer doing the drumming, doesn't it? But yeah, we had all the cars tooting us as well. I remember we were on our way back, didn't we? Trundling along with our light. One of my lights on one of my drumsticks has gone out, which is a bit irritating.
Oh no, is it replaceable or is that?
I think so. I'm gonna have to disassemble it and see if I can see what size battery it needs, and then
I need to get some of those
batteries. Yeah, one of those diddly tiny penny ones, I think.
Yeah, I felt very left out not having light up drumsticks. It's not something you normally require, but it's worth it just for once in a year, I think.
Yeah. The only downside of those light up drumsticks is that they've got a great flexibility to them. So they don't give a great sound because you need something quite rigid to hit the drum, because it should be that the drum skin vibrates and not the drumstick. So there's quite a lot lost in translation.
Maybe there are better ones that do light up but have better rigidity.
Maybe.
For want of a better word.
Yes, nobody needs a flaccid stick.
God, no. No use to man nor beast. Where are we going with this? Not right. Very, very wrong.
It's not even bloody Beltane. What's going on?
Exactly.
Oh dear. But no, as I say, it was one of those things that I noticed, and I have noticed it before, but it didn't occur to me until Sunday that the reason that some of the sound is lost is that the drumstick vibrates and not the drum skin. It sort of vibrates back on itself, if that makes sense. which is really irritating, to be fair. But as you say, they're visually rather lovely.
Yeah,
So,
they are gorgeous, especially in the darkness as you're walking along. Helps us not get run over, which has got to be a good thing.
Well, that's always a good thing, I think, not being run over. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, brilliant stuff. So, what was the jokey thing, Chris? Have I missed something? Hang on a moment.
About having a wee.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think.
And then Hans goes on to say they tap the fruit trees to wake them up. Yeah, we were doing that on Sunday, weren't we? Tapping them and stuff. So, yeah. Yeah, and as Hans says, very much so, these traditions that do happen throughout the year. And of course, different areas have slightly different traditions, don't they? You've got like the cheese rolling. What's that? Is that Shropshire or something like that? And they do the cheese rolling. Is it Shropshire?
Problems. Yeah, I know the one because I actually did watch a programme when it was quite interesting because it's an exceedingly steep hill and they literally throw themselves down.
They do. Yeah, they do. No, it's not Cheddar. I know it's it's not there. But it's amazing. And they have, as you say, they have this, and there's deaths. It's like, oh my God.
People have certainly ended up in hospital from it.
Yeah, and it's quite a regular thing apparently that they do have actual bona fide deaths from cheese. Can you imagine having that on your death certificate?
Died from cheese. I would imagine they probably go into a little more detail because that would just be
death by cheese.
Death by cheese. The cheese was too strong, my lord.
Too strong and too heavy. Yeah, they literally have crush injuries, don't they? It's dreadful.
Well, because basically they've fallen down a vertical hill.
Yeah, exactly, and they've been crushed by a large cheese wheel as they went.
Putting that on your noggin as you descend the slopes.
Yeah, I've got visions of one of these things, like the cartoons where the cheese runs over them and they kind of get imprinted in the cheese. Just go round and round.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. No, I need to get that out of my head now. I just need to stop being daft.
Yeah, you do, because otherwise you're not going to stop laughing then. We'll just lost the plot completely.
Oh, no change there then. So Chris says that knocking on wood for luck ties in with waking the tree spirits. Yeah, and again, it's exactly the same thing, isn't it? Yeah, touch wood, knock on wood. It's that whole, asking the tree spirits thing. I put their head instead, don't they? But yeah, definitely. Death by Baby Bell.
God, that's not really cheese.
No, if you've got an ant and a Baby Bell in competition, that's not going to go down well at all, is it?
I think the ant would lose, sadly.
I think so. Yes, I reckon so. There we go. Chris, I knew somebody would have a look for me. Yeah, Cooper's Hill in Gloucester for the cheese. Right? No, it's Gloucester.
Gloucester, that's it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, cheese rolling. Yeah, what fun. Yeah, it's always appealed to me. And as you say, they have programmes from time to time, don't they, about strange British traditions. And I've got lots of books on strange British traditions because I love them. And I think it's, and sometimes they get lost. But then sometimes somebody like me that's got an interest will suddenly go, do you know what? They used to do this in the next village along. Let's rekindle it. They haven't done it for 100 years. Let's rekindle it. And I love that.
But there's a lot of that going on, or there certainly has been. Huge amounts
revival,
of stuff getting revivaled, things like people wanting to bring back maypoles and things.
That's right, the maypoles. Did you dance around the maypole when you were a little girl at school?
When I was very small, yes. Well, in the deepest, darkest Kent, it was still a bit of a thing. And you'd go to a fair and there would be a maypole and you were expected to partake.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, that was when I was very small. By the time I got sort of towards teenagedom, it had long gone. But it was a lovely thing to see, especially when they do it properly. Because I mean, I don't know about you, but if you've ever had a go at it, it can end up being a horrible knot.
It's really tricky, isn't it? Yeah, it's really tricky. I'll tell you what I was surprised about, and that's the
over and under. That's what you've got to remember.
Right. And there's lots of different patternings for it as well. But I'll tell you what I was really surprised about, and that was that when I was little, we did that. She's gone.
No, sorry, I just dropped something.
Yeah, when I was little, we did the maypole. But yet, when my girls were little, they were still doing the maypole at their school. And so my oldest daughter's now just turned to 32. So, you know, it was within the last, you know, sort of 20, 25 years that they were doing it. And my middle daughter, she's 28. So, you know, and I think they still do
Maybe
it.
primary schools do.
So primary
still
schools,
try and
yeah.
do it.
And it's nice that they're still doing that. I dare say there's, you know, schools that would have done it 50 years ago and they're falling by the wayside on a yearly basis. But it is nice to know that it does still exist somewhere. And, so, yeah, and I was quite surprised actually when I found out that my girls were going to be doing that. And obviously that's 20-something years ago now. But even so, yeah, these traditions still carry on. So, yeah, you've got the maypole, and of course you've got all sorts of things. Jack in the Green, perfect example, isn't it?
Well,
And
exactly.
actually,
I mean, many years ago, they started doing the you know, the Jack in the Green down at Hastings, and I remember being in my very early 20s and going down there. I think it was some birthday or other, and me and our friends, we just had a day out in Hastings and came across these extraordinary people, and I never forgot it. I thought it was so amazing.
Yeah.
And of course, that was the beginning, and now it's this massive event that basically, unless you like crowds, you really don't necessarily want to be around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it gets bigger year on year on year, doesn't it? And of course, the other thing that's down on the south coast that I think is worth mentioning is the Bonfire Society.
Oh God, yes.
And of course, that's absolutely massive, isn't it? And they have all their bonfires, all, you know, sort of on the run up for Guy Fawkes and that kind of stuff. And again, year on year, that gets bigger and bigger and bigger too.
And that's the one that the Pentacle Drummers perform at. All of
That's
those,
right.
because they run across East Sussex and sort of West Kent area, mostly Sussex, I think. And they are brilliant, because we always went to the Newark one, which is much smaller. I mean, going to Lewis or somewhere like that is just, again, it's so big it's become a problem.
Yeah.
But they've got the rolling barrels and the big flame things. It's extraordinary.
It is. It's amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing.
And so big.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's just lovely that, you know, that there are places and pockets in the country that have similar traditions or entirely different traditions, like the cheese rolling or whatever. So yeah, that's like somebody put up bog snorkeling. What have we got here?
Yeah, that's isn't that in the Norfolk Broads? That way.
I was bog snorkeling yesterday at work, but it wasn't the same thing.
Yeah, but that's oh dear.
Yeah, locked toilet. So there I was, rubber gloves and a plunger. Didn't think much of that at all.
No, you do not know. Nobody needs that.
No, nobody needs that at 10 o'clock at night. No. Oh wow! 4 adults and 4 children were zapped by lightning when a sudden thunderstorm interrupted the 1982 cheese roll. Oh my God!
Well, it's on a hill, isn't it? So if you're the highest point.
Ooh. Wow!
Oh yes.
That's not good, is it?
Well, no.
Oh my God! So what we got here has our hand says bog snorkeling, dancing around the maypole. Yep. World Hen Racing Championship.
Hen racing.
Hen racing.
Hens aren't known for being that cooperative, are they?
No, not really. No, I saw ferret racing. That's quite amusing, especially as they had gambling going on with it, and you could back your best contender, and you looked beforehand as to, you know, which one you thought was the most viable contender, and on that particular one on best form. And there was the one that I chose, and he was in his little hutch thing. And I swear to God, if he'd been on television, he'd have had a red satin dressing gown on and boxing gloves, because he was like, and he was absolutely raring to go. And I thought, well, he's just going to, you know, they're going to open his door and he's going to come out like a rocket. Instead of which, he sort of like shot out like a rocket and stopped and, oh, this is lovely. And he just stopped and looked around, and all the other ferrets had gone whizzing off. And he's just exploring the grass and the sky and the hay bales. And I don't think he ever actually finished at all. They picked him up and put him back in his little hutch. That was another driver down the pan. Oh, dear. So what have we got here? Weighing in the mare.
Weighing the mare. Is that like guess the weight of the cake, but you've got some corpulent old bloke?
Got some corporate man with a pug face. Got to guess how many pounds he is. Oh dear. Nettle eating contest.
Oh no.
Oh, that would hurt. Whittlesea Straw Bear Festival. I wonder what that is.
Straw Bear?
Yeah, Whittlesea Straw Bear. I don't know. I wonder if it's who makes
worm charming. Now, I have heard of that.
What was that? What charming?
Worm charming.
Oh, yes, I've heard of worm charming. But I quite like the sound of this one, the wife carrying race. I wonder if you have to have your own wife or whether you can borrow someone else's that's a bit smaller.
I was going to say, it does depend on the size of your wife. You know.
Because if you've got a larger one, they're going to be a bit slowed down.
Yeah, you might want to go, can I just borrow yours, mate?
Exactly. Can I borrow your wife, please? Yeah.
More
I mean,
portable.
Exactly, yeah. Keys in the bowl, forget it. That's Dorking. That's Dorking. In Dorking? Yeah. Is it? Well, the wife carrying? Yeah. Is it? Wow.
Well, local.
Yeah. So we did maypole dancing, says Chris, at my first school. First time I heard the word Witchins when I went the wrong way. Wow.
Wow, yes. Very important that you go the right way.
Exactly, yeah. Wow. Got hurling the silver ball in Cornwall.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I wonder if that's kind of like aluminium that you've got collected throughout the week. I don't know. Oh. A bit of tin foil. The Ottery tar barrels, that must be in Cornwall. Is it? No, Devon. You've got Ottery down in Devon, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Ottery St Mary, isn't it?
Yeah, Ottery St Mary, yeah. The Egremont Crab Fair.
Yeah.
I'm not commenting on that. And then you've got worm charming. Yeah.
Of course.
So Jen says, Ben Edge has been painting and documenting festivals. I know he's on Instagram and I think there are some videos on YouTube. Yes, on both places he's under Ben Edge Art. Oh, excellent. We'll have to look at that. Thanks, Jen. That's really, really helpful. Thank you. Mm. So weighing the mare is a High Wycombe monstrosity, apparently. So weighing the mare. Yeah, it must be like guess the weight of the cake, I suppose. I don't know. Or who's heavier? This person or this person?
Mm. How bizarre.
It's really strange, isn't it? Yeah. Excellent. May morning in Oxfordshire. Bun throwing. Stone skimming. Wow. There's lots, isn't there? I love it.
So it's a competition really for anything that comes to mind. You know, it could be welly wanging or have you not heard that one?
Welly wanging. I'm just really glad that you said it correctly.
I could have gone horribly wrong. We could have had a bit of a moment there. How far can you throw a Wellington boot?
Yeah. You have got some really strange mist behind you.
I don't think it's mist. I think it's my boxes.
Oh, is it your? Oh, yes. So it is.
I have.
Where your head was.
It looked like I was steaming quietly.
Do you remember the Carry On film? Do you mind if I smoke? Do you remember that one? That's what I thought you had going on there.
No.
Yeah,
it does look a bit strange, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I was thinking you've got some really weird stuff going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you've burst my bubble. I was really.
I'm so sorry. My steaming boxes, yes.
Yeah,
they're just jewellery. Many jewelleries.
I thought we had a presence in the room. How upsetting. Never mind.
Not that sort of presence, no.
Oh dear. So yes, just goes to show just how many traditions that there are, and long may they live. That's what I reckon. And of course, talking of traditions, we've got Imbolg coming up soon, haven't we?
Well, yes. It always feels like it rolls around quite quickly.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
But I mean, even this morning, you know, it wasn't as dark. It stayed lighter a bit longer. Now it helps when it's not a cloudy evening because obviously you're aware of it. But you can I can really feel it now. It's like, oh yes.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And it's nice when you sort of see some of the bulbs and stuff coming up too, isn't it? And you know that it's well
I've got a camellia in my front garden that has had buds on it for some considerable time. And he's obviously itching to flower.
Oh wow!
But I think, don't peak too early because it only takes one frost and then you've lost the whole lot.
Crunchy. Yeah, and that's the lot gone. Yeah. But definitely you can feel that it's on the way. So that's is it Tuesday week? I think. So basically a fortnight's time, I think, isn't it? Something.
Yeah, we're not far off it now.
Yeah, not far at all. So it seems to have rolled around really quickly somehow.
In 2 weeks, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So it's just a couple of weeks to go. But have you got any plans for that?
Let me just check. Currently, I haven't. No, I haven't really got the thought that far ahead.
Yeah, exactly. January's been quite busy, hasn't
So
it?
I've just done my taxes, so I'm kind of having a bit of a sort out now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get straight, ready for the rest of the year. And yeah, it's been a busier time than usual, so I've had to catch up with myself a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, obviously, in years gone by, we've done things together, haven't we? For
We have indeed, yes.
For many years on the trot, but probably not so much this year. That we could organise something, but yeah, I think actually the day of my move, I think it's a Tuesday, and I think
That's the
that
second.
covers. Is the Monday the first, or is it the?
I think the Monday is the first. Hang on, let me just pull up my calendar again. Oh no, hang on a minute. Oh, what have I done? Right, the Tuesday is the first.
Is it? Yeah. So that I'll be having my moot that day. So that'll be quite nice. Obviously, I'll be doing something with my guests that come to that. Something ready for Imbolg for that. That'll be nice actually. And I like it when it, when my moot happens.
Nice when it coincides.
It is nice when it happens to coincide with whichever Sabbath that it might be. But obviously, I need to get my thinking cap on and have a think about what we can do specifically, because obviously, it's celebrating the return of the light, isn't it? One of the lovely light. I like the light festivals that we have. I enjoy them. I think they're lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really the start of the big changes that you really see in the light and the feel of the air and the whole energy.
And the quality of the light's better, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Yeah. Talking of light, actually, it was a couple of nights ago. Was it Monday, I think? I think it was Monday. Not sure. Sunday or Monday. And of course we had the nearly full moon, almost full moon. But it was such a clear night. So Sunday it was quite clear, wasn't it? I'm sure it was the Monday.
Yeah.
And it was
Monday
so
morning.
clear, but it was so cold. And where I am here, it was amazing because the moon was really high in the sky and it just shed this amazing silvery light over everything.
It is magical, isn't it?
Oh, it was wonderful. It was Monday. And it just shed light over everything. I didn't even need a torch to get back from the car to my house. But it was beautiful. And because it was really frosty, of course, everything in the moonlight looked white because it had such a heavy frost on it. So it looked like snow, even though it wasn't, all over the fields and trees and so on. And then there was this low-lying mist in the fields that sort of sat just a foot or two above the cold, frosty grass and soil and whatever. And then you sort of had this band of mist that was maybe 4 or 5 foot deep, and then you had this clear air, and then then the moonlight. Oh, it was amazing! It really was. I was out looking at it several times that evening, including up to about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It was just amazing.
Well, on Tuesday morning, the moon was amazing.
It
was still up.
It's the early hours of Tuesday morning.
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it was really, really stunning, wasn't it? And it was the wolf moon, wasn't it?
Yeah, wolf moon.
Yeah, the wolf moon. I think it's also called the snow moon, isn't it?
I was going to say there seem to be slightly different flavours of which way you do it, but I mean, all the moons have names.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And it's what it means to you as well, really, isn't it? I mean,
exactly which one you resonate with.
Snow, but if you're up in Scotland or whatever and they've had a real go of it lately, then it will feel much more appropriate. Don't see many wolves in these parts either, but I quite like that imagery.
No, not that often, to be fair. No. So no, definitely. So another thing I wanted to ask you about, and this is a really good question. A friend of mine, her granddaughter is, she's a little one. She's only 2 or 3, 2.
Yeah.
And she's currently in hospital with breathing difficulties, and she's been put on nebulizers and so on and so forth. So assuming that you were given permission by the child's family, stroke parents, stroke whoever, what sort of differences in magic would you do? Obviously, it would be distance healing, but what sort of differences would you incorporate? A, because she's a little one, and B, to do with different ailments or body parts and things like that. What would you do to adapt to that sort of situation?
Yes. Well, for little ones, really. I mean, when they're that tiny, you're doing as much work for the parent as you are for the child themselves. I mean, if it was a sort of a sudden emergency situation, I'd go straight to candle magic, really. That would be my first kind of like, right, dedicate some time and send the healing that way. But if it was something over a longer period of time, you might want to, there might be some sort of not incense, potion you could make, like a spell bottle with the required herbs, etc. in for clarity and, the things that open up the airways and stuff like that. But my immediate sort of knee-jerk go-to is do some candle magic quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting how it makes a difference, though, that it's a child that can't speak for itself compared to regularly you'd ask permission from, assuming that they were conscious enough to be able to give you their permission for you to do it. But of course, normally you go directly to the person involved and say, may I do healing for you? But in this situation, obviously, they're not able to make a decision for themselves. So obviously you've got an intensity issue as well, haven't you? Because the amount of energy and healing that you might send to, a 12-stone adult wouldn't be appropriate for a 20-pound toddler.
Exactly. It's a dosage matter, isn't it?
It is, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it has to be gentle. I mean, again, it depends on the situation, if it's something sort of incredibly life-threatening or if it's something that, there are certain kids who seem to have problems with this, with attacks and end up in hospital. I mean, I've got relatives who've had this, and what you're sending them is something ongoing to sort of help them stay healthy. But yeah, you need to find out as much as you can about the exact situation if you're going to do anything that's more specific, I think. And obviously the parent, guardian, etc. has to tell you.
Yeah, but it's interesting, isn't it? And I think, it's one of those things that's good for discussion, because if you kind of, if you do a one-size-fits-all thing for a child compared to an adult, like I say, it could literally go in the other way and knock them for six because it's too much. So I'm just sort of, my point is really, take those sort of things into consideration too. Sometimes
Absolutely.
it's gently. What about the nursing or medical staff? Would you do anything with them rather than to the child that can't give permission, for example? Would that be a thing you might do yourself?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's difficult without knowing who they are or having any connection with them.
Yeah.
But you'd want them to create the very best and gentlest environment for the child that wasn't too loud, too shocking. You want them to be as gentle and compassionate as they possibly can be.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the moment, it's difficult if they're very busy with other cases and lots of people on board, which is, depending on where the person is quite a real possibility at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a difficult one, though, isn't it? Oh, hello, Susan. Hi. Yeah, it is a difficult one, but I think, sometimes I have an issue giving healing to the person, regardless as to the reason why they can't receive healing. Sometimes I have issues with that, and I think, they're not making a conscious choice themselves because they're too old, too sick, too young, too whatever. So sometimes, there's a way around everything. If you think about it long enough, there's a way around everything, really, isn't there? And so, sort of sending energy in the form of guidance to make correct decisions to medical staff. Sometimes that might be, if you're not comfortable on sending healing to that person, then, sort of guidance to medical staff to make correct decisions, or, as you say, make the patient comfortable or whatever. So, if you are concerned about things like that, there are ways around it, aren't there? And I know in some occasions, because I know you've had some friends that were very unwell, haven't you? And sending a sort of general, and obviously we've talked about it, but sending a general energy for them to tap into, make it available for them to tap into if their subconscious wants to, or just a sort of a, bubble around them almost, isn't it? And it's, it's just a different way around. It's kind of, I don't know. working around a problem, isn't it? And sort of saying,
Yeah,
we are here
it's
to help
gentler.
if you want it, isn't
Yeah.
it? Mm.
And I think that's the thing, is that if I'm sending energy to somebody, usually it is a case of it's there if you want it, for you to do with, for your body and mind to know what it needs and to take it and use it, rather than going, this has got to happen. There are instances where you can do that, but more often than not, I think a slightly more general approach can be just more sensible, especially if you're not that acquainted with the person themselves.
Yeah.
Can't really go wading in with your broomstick,
No, exactly. Yeah. But it's just an interesting thing, isn't it? Because there are some people that say, oh well, if somebody has got this, then I'd do that. And think, well, actually, that might not be appropriate. Or
How do you really know?
Yeah, it's just that whole thing of trying to raise awareness of, think about what you're doing. Really, that's what I'm trying to get at. Really. Oh, we've got a comment. Here we go. Brilliant. There we go, Tony. I'm going to put your comment up here. Can you see that? Is that there?
It is there, yes.
It's there. It's not showing on mine because I've got such an old picture so I can read what anyone says. This might be a stupid question. It's absolutely not a stupid question. There is no such thing as a stupid question. But Tony's heard that there are crystals that absorb negative energy and can help with depression. Is this correct? And if so, which crystals work? Ooh, that's a really good question. Now, I'm no crystal guru. I don't profess to be. There are some crystals I know about more, and there are some crystals that I know about less. But yes, there absolutely are crystals that exist that do absorb negative energy or give out positive energy or so on. So yes, there are certain crystals that will help with depression. Now, specifically absorbing negative energy, I think that's tourmaline, isn't it? Now, I know Chris or Hannah will be able to answer these.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the typing to occur.
Yes, I'm not confident enough in my crystal knowledge. I'm fascinated by stones, gemstones, and all of these things. But in terms of their actual properties,
that information doesn't, for whatever reason,
it doesn't stick in my head.
No, it's
I've
strange,
got plenty of books and things on it.
So yes, looking up properties of different crystals, yes, definitely is something that you can do. But your general question of which one should you use in order to do that, partly it will depend on what sort of negative energy you're looking at, whether it's negative energy that's come from an outside source or whether it's negative energy that's coming from within. And again, you've got different types of things. So there won't just be a cure-all crystal. You go, well, for all negative energy, you want that. Again,
it's not that simple, is it?
No, it's not. So it will depend entirely on circumstances. But yes, and here we go. Here come the crew that are going to put the information in place. Right, so the hand says black tourmaline and carnelian. I would also use tiger's eye and only carry the tiger's eye and wash cold water after 7 days. So that's
okay.
That's Hannah's take on that one. Thank you. And then we've got Chris that says it is a very wide subject. The lepidolite works well for me, as in Chris, but not my daughter, for example. So yes, there might be a bit of trial and error going on there as well. If you wanted to attack a difficulty, if you wanted to attack a problem from an alternative angle, rather than clearing away negative energy, you might, for example, choose to bring in positive energy instead, or you might want to bring gentle love in instead. So again, you've got different crystals that would do that. So a lot of people know about rose quartz, and again, that would be something that you might want to bring gentle love in, for example. So just as a sort of as an example. But as I say, I'm not an authority on crystals, unfortunately. But these people are. So we're listening, and I'm waiting for more typing because I'm sure lots and lots of it will happen here. What have we got here? Again, Hans says, oh no, what have we got here? Oh, we're having a crystal off. Excellent. Hang on a second. Lepidolite, smoky quartz. Okay, smoky quartz is that red jasper, angel aura. Chris says clear quartz crystal is the go-to for everything. See, for me, Chris, I think that clear quartz is more of an enhancer rather than a go-to. So I've got a slightly different opinion on that than you. But Chris then goes on to say the best way to choose a crystal is to let it choose you. I agree with that 100%. And then she suggests try going into a shop that sells crystals and see what attracts you. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good way of seeing, what crystal that you need at the moment, because it will shout at you. It really will. And it's not an experience that you can explain. You have to experience of going into a crystal shop and looking, oh, that one's nice, pick it up. That one's nice, pick it up. God, I have this one. And you can't put it down. You absolutely can't put it down, can you? Because the crystal chooses you. And Hans also suggests citrine and malachite. So as you can see, there are lots of different crystals that will do different things, but there'll be slight variances on how they'll get rid of negative energy and what type of negative energy they'll dispel, and so depending on why it's coming to you and where it's coming from, whether it's coming from within or without, etc. So yes. There's lots and lots of information on the internet, Tony. So with all of these suggestions that you've got here, such as tourmaline and malachite and citrine and so on and so forth, have a little Google search and see if anything along those lines resonates with you. That's something else that you could do maybe before, sort of trundling off to a crystal shop. But as Chris says, really selecting a crystal, or rather letting a crystal select you, I think is probably one of the best bits of advice that anyone can give regarding crystals, I think, actually. What else have we got here? Rose quartz might be a bit full on to start with, so pink kyanite, which should be a little gentler. Pink kyanite.
I don't know kyanite. That's a new one.
Kyanite. Mind you, they come out with new names of crystals every week, don't they? I was at the genuinely they do. I was at the Pitt Rivers Museum just before Christmas, and they've got a really huge collection and exhibition of crystals, different types of crystals there. It's a massive collection there, and of course, not every type of crystal that's literally known to man. Can you not sit on that bit, please? Thank you, Cap. We've got Bert that's just come bounding over. The cat. And what was interesting was that there are literally new forms of crystal found every week, and very often they're named after the person that discovered them. So I didn't realise there were so many new ones found, and so regularly. So yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. So yeah, so kyanite. Oh, the witch's stone.
Nice.
Excellent. Okay, so here we go. Tony says that there's a crystal shop very close to me, so I'll pop in, and they'll give you lots of advice too. If they're flogging crystals, they'll know their stones. So yeah, so ask for their advice as well. Sometimes, says Jen, the crystal that chooses you doesn't necessarily have to do with the purpose you want it for. That's true, but then there might well be something that you don't realise you need from a certain crystal. And that for me comes into the whole thing of prediction, premonition, cognition and intuition. That's what that comes into with me. She said, getting in the mother with her glasses and her hair. Much help, is it? Look. That's witchcraft right there, that is. There we go. So yeah, so it might be that you've got an underlying reason of something you have no idea about. You might have an underlying illness, for example. It might be that you've got some kind of trauma that's going to be coming up, that you might need it for, that you don't know is going to happen, and you need it for that. So yeah, so don't be dismissive if it doesn't appear to be the one that you think you need, because the chances are it's picking you for a reason that you don't yet understand. That's what I would say on that. Other people might have different views, and that's the beauty of witchcraft. Everyone's got different views, and I love that. And they're all valid, and that's even better. So yeah, well, most of them anyway. So what else have we got here? Ooh, got lots of people saying lots of things. As I said before, Hans says the black kyanite is the witch's stone. I wonder where that comes from. Yeah.
I should have heard of it.
Yeah. So Jennifer's offered a nice piece of advice to Tony as well, and says that you could also keep your eye out for a regular stone or fallen branch or anything natural, because if it makes you happy, again, you can have the positive energy from that. Doesn't necessarily have to be a crystal as such. It could be any old regular pebble or some. You could pick up a feather, for example, and you think, do you know what, I really like that, because it might signify something to you. But I think what Tony's specifically asking for is to dispel negative energy that he believes or perceives to be around. So, but yeah, because obviously there's almost, I say almost, there are proven properties to crystals, or certainly, what's the word I'm looking for? Not proven. What is the word I'm looking for? Acknowledged properties of crystals through, sort of persistent analysis. And yeah, there are certain traits for certain crystals and certain stones, and that knowledge isn't to be sniffed at. Chris says kyanite's lovely. Blue is gentle. Helps the throat chakra too. Good for communication. And as Hans says, yeah, Tony, it's a good idea. And you can carry things in your pocket and they help you, if they're under your pillow, to help you sleep. There's also lots of talk about here, Hans mentions about cleansing. Be careful with crystals. Not all crystals take very well to being plonked in a bowl of cold water, or running water for that matter. And some of them will dissolve, some of them don't handle terribly well. And again, if you're going to a shop, take the advice of the person that's running the shop, because they will be knowledgeable. So, ask about things like that. Ask about cleansing them. And what that's referring to is not just because it's got a bit of fluff on it, or, a small spot of
energy.
Although that's quite a valid point if it's in my house. That'll be tomato then, or coffee usually. But it's negative energy from previous owners, whether that previous owner happens to be the shop owner or the person that dug it out the ground in the first place and chipped it out. So, you don't want previous energies associated with it. So cleansing it is to start afresh and then tuning it to you personally. But yeah, again, it does depend on what crystals that you're picking, as to how well they may or not take to water. Because they're not all ducks, you see. They don't all take to water. And as Chris rightly says, for example, selenite doesn't like it. Well, having said that, do you know what's really interesting, Chris? And that's that I've got a large selenite candle holder in my front garden. And clearly, because it's in England, it gets wet quite regularly. And it doesn't seem to mind being rained on at all. Yeah, you'd think it would, wouldn't you? But it doesn't seem to mind being rained on. Don't know why. Seems to quite like it. So there we go. Now see, I like this. Now, I mentioned a feather just as a suggestion, and it was just as off the top of my head. But Jen here says a feather, air element, can be used to gently fan energy away. And yeah, absolutely. And again, it's the intention. In situations like that, it's the intention. And Tony, we use intention a lot. We visualize things, we set intentions. I want this to be. You charge something, as in, I give you this job to be the thing that dispels a negative energy. So I charge you, feather, to be the thing that gives away negative energy, fans away negative energy. And then you do that, and it's doing its job because you've told it that that's what its job was. Another cat. Hello. So yeah, absolutely. And again, with intent, and that's the crux of witchcraft, really. It's all about the intent, isn't it? Exactly.
I suppose it's just the properties of the crystals can help intensify focus the
yeah, exactly. So there we go. Yeah, and again, obviously, we're talking about the mining process and so on. Yeah, brilliant. Susan says that there's a crystal shop in Hastings. Brilliant. So have a little trip up the road to off to Hastings. So yeah, enjoy, Susan. Hope you do. And salt can scratch some crystals, depends on their hardness and softness. Definitely. Well, good Lord. We've gone from banging a drum in an orchard to crystals. Perfect.
Indeed.
With cheese rolling along the way.
Yeah. Strange diversion, really, along the way, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Drumming and trees to crystals via cheese. Apples and cheese.
What's not to love?
Right, well, there we go. I'm going to leave it there. Oh, and wife carrying as well, definitely. Yeah, so if you've got any spare wives, get practicing. You might not want to use your own wife, for she might get a bit upset. So
always ask permission
for somebody else's first. Oh dear. Anyway, on that comment, I'm going to say to the pip, Heather, do your funny wave.
Awkward waving.
Awkward wave. Bye bye.